Good morning and welcome to Johnson Valley, California. I am Miles Hasquist. This is day number 2 for the 2024 Progressive Insurance King of the Hammers, presented by Nitto Tires, powered by Optima Batteries. Today is the big race for the Liqui Moly King of the Motos. It is a 3-lap race, land rush start up at Chocolate Thunder. Lap number 1 is 14 miles, lap number 2 is 17, lap 3 is 10. It gets harder as they go. 41 miles of some of the toughest trails we could find here at the Hammers. So let's see who's going to be the king of the motos. But first, let's check out Chocolate Thunder with race director Justin Lineweber, Brian Pierce, and Chris Johnson.
Hey everybody, Justin Lineweber here, King of the Motos race director, out here on Sunday's start. Joining me are announcers Chris Johnson, Brian Pierce, checking out Chocolate Thunder. We're going to have a land rush start here and heading straight up Chocolate Thunder.
With the land rush style start that you were talking about, what we are standing in is a bunch of very fine sand, but they are then going to some very fine built rocks. Like, what is it like for these guys to have to start in such deep sand to then rush into all of the rocks that starts off Chocolate Thunder?
It makes it exciting, for
yes?
sure.
Okay.
It's kind of, you know, everybody knows that this is where we're going to start, so they can come out here and start picking out where they're going to head from here and aim at which rock they're going to aim at. So it makes it cool and exciting.
One of the toughest things, though, is running into bottlenecks. A lot of times if you're hauling bananas coming up the canyon here, and all of a sudden you got 10 bikes all spread out in front of you, what's the best way to come around?
So that's where the guys, so we're going to have 30 wide here, and that's what they're looking at when they head that way. They're, you know, the guy on the downside, he's going to be looking like, well, I'm going to hop in the rocks right away and get rid of that bottleneck. And the guy on the outside, he's going to go way wide and try to stay wide as possible just to stay around that bottleneck you're talking about.
Okay, so we're talking about the bottlenecks and racers and riders wanting to get out front, but where are they headed from here? What should they expect after Chocolate Thunder?
So we cross a big valley in the back. It's about, half-mile long valley crossing right after the top of this. And then they're going to hop back into some more hammer trails. So Jackhammer North, they got a crossover. They're coming down Bender Alley, Wrecking Ball, and then you get into some exciting new trail I've made. We can't really get there to film in it today, but you're going to get to see it drone footage come race day. So
awesome.
I call it, choose your own adventure, because it's a canyon full of rocks just like this. And there's a bunch of different lines. All of them are makeable, and it's going to be really exciting racing because, you got one guy struggling a little bit here and one guy struggling a little bit there, but it's still a lot of lines. So from there, they go into some of our more familiar trails all the way out to Spooners and Outer Limits. I made a new drop into Spooners. It's pretty exciting. All the way out the backside, they're going to come up Downtown, which is a car trail that's only been done a few times, so it's not 2-track, and it really hasn't ever been raced before, so it's pretty nice canyon. Back up to Fissure, Jackhammer, and then they'll come down, and they'll be coming down the finish here right back into Chocolate Thunder. Get ready for lap 2 and 3.
Cody Webb took the win, of course. Tristan Hart coming in second. Now, Tristan was right on Cody's tail end, but he could not catch up or get by him. Ryder LeBlond, he got podium last year, made another podium, and he's teammate of Colton Haker, who come in 6th. Will Reardon coming to 4th spot, Cooper Rabbit coming 5th. Daniel Lewis after Colton Haker, 7th place. James Flynn from Arizona coming 8th place. 9th place, Brandon Petrie, and then Spencer Wilton, who's a newcomer to the pro level, coming in 10th. So good crop of pro riders coming out to the field.
Look at that, guy. So it doesn't look like we've already got some guys losing a little bit of momentum there, but at the same time, there are quite a few guys that saw their line, and they are making it up. But you can tell those rocks are slick from the rain that came down yesterday and from this morning. Such a cool drone footage. That's one of those first-person drones that you would use in a drone racing league that they have out there getting us this epic footage. Look at a couple racers that are moving and shaking there. It looks like 80. Psycho Enduro on Instagram. If you don't follow him, he's a great follow. But it looks like we got about a minute between lines going off because we already see that second line hitting the rocks there in Chocolate Thunder. So now we're going to see those bottlenecks happen, but it looks like they're already moving their way out of the top of Chocolate Thunder as well. So great to see that first line getting themselves laid out.
Our first view going up to the canyon there, Chocolate Thunder, appeared to be a white bike, so it's either Ryder LeBlond or Colton Haker. My take on this.
Yeah, absolutely. One of those Huskies out there. I love seeing that high left line. We saw a couple riders take that last year. So we haven't seen anybody head that direction yet. Maybe they just can't get high enough, and there, a rock getting kicked right at the drone. So it is a little, regardless of being on the bike or off the bike, it can be dangerous out there at these hard enduros with these loose rocks.
Oh, look at this. They're back out into the flats now.
Yeah, so they're already crossing through.
It is Colton Haker in the lead right now, coming off of our yellow brick. By the way, for those of you that don't know what a yellow brick is, it's a transponder device that tracks the travel of our racer. So it appears to be Cody Webb, Colton Haker, and then Cooper Abbott.
And now we've got quite a few lines there on Chocolate Thunder, and this is where it gets crazy, right? Because we were talking about the moisture in the dirt, but that dirt is getting carried up onto those rocks. The rocks are slick. There is zero traction once you lose that momentum. So they're looking down to make sure that the rider that they're following is actually on the course. Because, again, this is a navigation race first and foremost. If you do not make it to all the checkpoints, or if you veer off of the 50-foot course, you will be penalized, and we've seen racers lose the race before because of that. Cody Webb, Mari Roman in the past. So cool to see that we've got this as these guys are working up their way. Some of the other bits of terrain here in Johnson Valley. We're here, right, in the course, so we're not the officials, but if we look at where some of the racers went versus where the green line would be for us, it looks like some of them are off. So somebody might have missed a turn, and somebody might be a little bit off course, but in the long run, you know, that's not our decision to make. That could be within 50 feet, and who knows what the zoom looks like here on that yellow brick.
Or this can be corrected as well. But I'm really interested to find out any information on 158, Thomas Bodrovics. You know anything about Thomas?
I sure don't, but that's going to be great to be able to get that information later on when we get to interview some of these riders at Chocolate Thunder, hopefully 3+ hours from now. But right now we still have lines of those 150 riders that you mentioned earlier, Chris, going off there at Chocolate Thunder. So they're starting their adventure. These racers have 6 hours to complete all 3 laps. Some of these racers are going to go, you know what, my goal is to complete 1 lap. My goal is to complete 2 laps. My goal is to try to finish this event. Sometimes you're going to even break it down into checkpoints. And so the checkpoints is where this is really going to come into play for scoring later on, since not every rider out here is going to be able to complete all 3 of the laps. So that 5th hour is when the last checkpoints are going to start to close off. So if you make it 2 minutes, you can keep going, but you still have to get to that next checkpoint before the race is officially ended. Now we still have lines of those 150 riders that you mentioned earlier, Chris, going off there at Chocolate Thunder. So they're starting their adventure. These racers have 6 hours to complete all 3 laps. Some of these racers are going to go, you know what, my goal is to complete 1 lap. My goal is to complete 2 laps. My goal is to try to finish this event. Sometimes you're going to even break it down into checkpoints. And so the checkpoints is where this is really going to come into play for scoring later on, since not every rider out here is going to be able to complete all 3 of the laps. So that 5th hour is when the last checkpoints are going to start to close off. So if you make it 2 minutes, you can keep going, but you still have to get to that next checkpoint before the race is officially ended, or get to the finish line. And if not, then already pulling the goggles off. It is brisk out here, 40, 50 degrees, and that rider is already so hot that he's got to take his goggles off because he's just not getting enough air.
You know, our drone coverage is first and foremost. It is so awesome. King of the Hammers production crew doing an outstanding job of covering each and every one of these gnarly canyons. Look at this. Look at the pileup on the interstate.
So if we were to look at Yellow Brick right now, we're probably about a minute behind, so just remember that. It looks like Cody Webb is out in front, and then we see 55, so James Flynn. And then we've got number 9.
Dan Lewis from Pennsylvania.
Lewis, yeah, nice work, Danny. There could be 1 or 2 hidden in there in the Yellow Brick, but right now that's kind of what we're seeing out front. So we'll see how that keeps to evolve and see if anything catches up there.
From what we see here, Brian, it looks like Ryder Guest, number 110, is in that 4th spot. That behind Daniel Lewis. Now, it appeared that they did go off course a little bit the first row, and they did swing back on board, so some of our other riders have dropped back because of that. But it does appear to be Cody Webb, 5-time King of the Motos champion, in the lead. Look at the melee, man. It is gnarly over there.
Yeah, you can see everybody kind of funneling to the right side. There's a couple lines off to the left, but we've also seen quite a few bikes get sent into the air. So it does look like the air quote safer line is off to the right where everybody was kind of funneling in. All I know is that there's definitely been a lot of riders, and this is not what they wanted to see when they took that right-hand turn off the start going up Chocolate Thunder. And the problem is just like the skill level it takes to create momentum from a stop is pretty high. And so a lot of these guys will have to wait for kind of the clean line for them to be able to make their way up Chocolate Thunder.
Will Reardon looks to be in the second, then Cody Webb, Colton Haker, and then the 513 of Ryder LeBlanc, who got third place yesterday and third place from last year.
Yeah, this downhill that they're going down is awesome to see. And the speeds that they're carrying through these downhills may not look like much when you're looking at it on a YouTube video screen or laptop or whatever you're viewing this on. But I promise you, it is extremely technical. And the mere mortals like myself out there would be pitter-pattering our way down these rocky trails.
Look at the appearance of the fresh trail, because this trail hasn't been rode yet. We're following our leaders right now as they're coming on top, and nice chocolate pudding underneath, nice moisture. There's no dust today at all here for King of the Motos, nor for the Winter Classic just 15 miles to the west of us, another AMA national event.
There's a cool looking canyon that they're coming up. So they just came down, right, the other side of this. They kind of pulled a 180 down at the bottom, and now they're heading up a different direction. So this is where it's going to start to separate the true hard enduro racers from those that are out here just having a good time. So once we start seeing some of the B and C riders here, it's going to be a little bit more of a long day for those racers.
Tristan Hart, Will Reardon, and then Cody Webb, our top three.
Already got riders there on Chocolate Thunder that are just letting their bike hang out. They're helping their fellow competitors up Chocolate Thunder so that later on, maybe when they need a little bit of help, a little bit of a pull or a push, that they'll come back and say, hey, buddy, I helped you. Would you mind helping me later on?
Quite a nice spectator load up there on Chocolate Thunder right now, Brian.
Yeah, it's great to see, but that's what's so cool is it's probably, maybe half a mile. After lap 1, we'll see kind of how things are netting out. Then we'll see what's happening after lap 2. And Justin did say that there's the chance that they may want to do a tire change going out for lap 3 because of what they're going to go through on lap 2. So we'll have to see if that does happen. But again, he's hoping that they're going to be out there for over 3 hours. And my guess is that, unfortunately, these guys are going to be much faster and much more aggressive than we would want them to be, and they're going to probably beat that 3-hour mark. So we'll see how this nets out for us after they complete this first lap. But it looks like on camera we've still got Tristan Hart there dropping into that nice little canyon, and then Will Reardon there on that gas. Tristan Hart on his KTM, of course, and Will Reardon there on his gas. New to the factory team this year, that they have 1 created and 2 that he has now joined on. So congrats to him for getting that ride. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and say thank you to some of our sponsors and get ourselves a little bit of a break here. We'll be back in just a few minutes with some of our King of the Motos coverage. We appreciate you guys being here. We'll be back in just a minute.
Will Reardon from Australia, our top 2 lead riders. Now, Reardon been in the United States for about 4 years. His brother Angus Reardon is a Grand Prix specialist. He's back east right now running the GNCC series.
Yeah, he did really good yesterday. I think he was in 3rd place at the U.S. Sprint Enduro that kicked off yesterday. They have speed in their blood. They have fast in their blood.
And it does appear to be Cody Webb still hanging on to that 3rd spot behind that of Will Reardon on bike number 39. Tristan Hart, number 1, Reardon, number 39, and Cody Webb, number 2.
Yeah, that is definitely going to be our leaders on screen. So we've got Tristan Hart still trying to stay in front of Will Reardon, or maybe Will Reardon is trying to catch up to Tristan Hart there. But again, they've passed that first checkpoint, so they're now heading out onto the back half of lap 1. Yeah, now, considering we were just outside of Hammertown there in the Turkey Claw Mountains range, but now we are on a different part there north of Chocolate Thunder. So of course it is a little bit longer. It's a little bit of a different race, and to what Justin was saying, our race director, it is supposed to be more technical, and it gets more technical for every lap. So when they do cut off, they're going to ride this section again, of course, and when they come out back and around, they'll be about 3/4 of the way through lap 1, and when they're on lap 2, about 3/4 of the way through what was lap 1 is where they will cut off, and it'll get a little bit more technical. Then that third lap will get shorter, but again, there will be many more technical sections added for the racers that do make it to that third lap.
Oh, look at that little bit of overheating action there.
Oh, yeah, man.
That Husky, he's blown something. That's not good, Brian.
Yeah, to your point about protective gear, one of the things that you'll see that come either stock or that you can add aftermarket is a fan. What's happening there is because of the fact that he has just been staying still for so long, he either doesn't have a fan, his fan isn't working, or his bike has just gotten so hot, there could be a hose that has potential leak, then that's why we're seeing that steam come out of that motorcycle. Hard enduro is really hard on the motorcycles.
How are we looking out here, Brian?
Yeah, right now it looked like Will Reardon was in front of Tristan Hart for a little bit here, but then as they dropped into this canyon, Will either decided to let Tristan by or kind of got a little bit hung up there, but it looks like we've still got Cody Webb in the mix with everybody that's in there, and we do have a 4th rider, so trying to use our yellow brick to see that. Obviously, maybe that could be Cooper Abbott, number 12 there, with them as well, but again, it could be Ryder LeBlanc or Colton Haker because of white bikes, white gear, and on that Husky team. So we're trying to make sure we can sort that out for you guys.
Well, it does appear to be Will Reardon ahead of Colton Haker, Cooper Abbott, and then the next rider will be the number 99 of Brandon Petrie. Brandon moving through the field as well.
Doing really well, yes, indeed.
He's sandwiched between both Cody Webb and Colton Haker.
Yeah, so it looks like Ryder, Tristan, Will, and then we have Cooper Abbott now.
Okay, we got a little preview coming up. Take it away.
All right, guys, so I brought you over here to Jackhammer and Sledgehammer. This is the end of all 3 laps, and they're going to be coming down Jack for the first 2 laps, and then they'll come down Sledge and side hill across here back into Jack.
How are the racers and riders going to feel at this point, right, in the 3 laps that they're doing out here, right, so, as you're coming down these different veins?
That's a good question. You know, it's always a challenge to reassess the skill level every year and see where we're at and make the course for everybody. I think, you know, some guys are going to be, it's going to be rewarding to finish 1 lap. You know, other guys, that second lap is going to be real hard to achieve, and then your pros are going to just, you know, smash my time limits and make it in on 3 laps way faster than I predict.
You've incorporated quite a few new trails in regards to 2024 King of the Motos.
Correct. Yeah, I've been working out here since August, just trying to find new stuff and new ways to connect the canyons, and I think it's going to be exciting. I built this race the way I would want to race it, and it's really a course that I wish I was able to race, but I've ridden it so much at this point that I'm happy just race directing for the rest of the weekend.
Tired.
Yeah.
Getting tired.
All right, guys, so this is Jack and Sledgehammer. This is right before the finish. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for announcing this year. Looking forward to another great year of racing. King of the Motos 2024. Let's go racing.
Man, what we're seeing on screen right now is obviously quite the bottleneck. What's going to be crazy, though, is in an hour from now when our leaders are coming through here again. Because remember, they're going to be riding this the second time in their lap number 2. So now if these bottlenecks are still here, right, some of the C riders, B riders are still hanging out, the pro riders are going to have to finagle, not just finagle their way through the rocks, but also through the riders that are in between all of the rocks. And that is where we get to see the pro level shine for the way that these guys can control their motorcycles.
Or pursue alternate routes.
Oh, it's the best.
Yes, and that's when the really, really good colors come out.
And this looks like a nice little breather spot, right? You've got about 25 feet, maybe 50 feet of sand before you hit some more rocks, and then you've got a nice little section once you get past those rocks. But I like the green that we're seeing here. To be completely honest, there hasn't been a lot of green that we've seen out and about everywhere. So look at this. I wouldn't say it's Jurassic Park style, but that is a cool shot looking up this little canyon right here. So coming into checkpoint 2 there, looks like that's probably, if we were to make a quick guesstimate, that is going to be about halfway through lap 1 when they're coming into checkpoint 2. So now they're going to go just a little bit through Fissure Mountain, and then they're going to take a hard right there at checkpoint 3, and that is going to bring them back into Chocolate Thunder. So once they get to checkpoint 3, that's when we know we probably got about 30 to 45 minutes for them coming back in. So we probably got about another hour, hour and a half before they're going to come in on that first lap. Fingers crossed, right? That's what we hope anyway.
So now it looks to be Cody Webb leading the parade here on Asherco. And second place will be Will Reardon, and third place will be Tristan Hart.
So those guys have gone through checkpoint 2, and they are working their way to checkpoint 3, which will then start to put them down into Chocolate Thunder.
Hanging right into the mix, Will Reardon doing a fantastic job. First year on a Gas, just signed a contract and jumped on board the Gas team. And he's right in the hunt there with Cody Webb and Tristan Hart. You have no idea how steep this angle is going up.
That definitely shows us how steep it is right there.
Welcome back after our commercial break. Still appears to be Cody Webb leading the parade. Wow. Colton Haker in the 4th spot. I tell you what, Ryder LeBlond hanging right in the wind with Tristan Hart. So we got some heavy hitters moving through the valley now. Actually, they're coming up on a ridge, heading back toward Chocolate Thunder. Brian, what do you see on the screen, brother?
Man, it looks like we still have those 5 riders that we were talking about up front, and that's great to see. So the technicality, right, is not something that is limiting them. They can all ride in that pace. And I wonder if they're giving credence to letting someone else navigate for a little bit. Again, we're on lap 1 of 3. The potential for them to be out there for 3 hours is very high. So maybe the strategy is to let someone else do the navigation work for you and just follow for a little bit, see some lines, see how somebody's attacking, where they're at on the day. Because we do know Tristan Hart got beat by Cody Webb. He admitted he could not catch him. And maybe he's just kind of watching some lines and letting see what happens. I doubt that that's the case, but again, you never know what the strategy is.
There's our 4 leaders right there. Cody Webb in the lead, Tristan Hart in 2nd. Ryder LeBlond in 3rd, now drops back. Colton Haker dives in to take over that 3rd spot. So we got some good dicing going on here with our top 4 riders.
That's a solid point with our seeing that Colton Haker is now catching that lead group that we saw there. So hopefully we still see Ryder LeBlond there up in the front, which it looks like we do, of course, if we're going off of Yellow Brick. But that Colton Haker there has not been in that group for a while. The one there is Will Reardon of Wells. So that's cool to see that we're getting a few more riders catching up. Cooper Abbott is starting to drop back just a little bit according to Yellow Brick. We'll see how this goes. So we got Cody Webb there on screen, Tristan Hart, and looks like Ryder LeBlond. So hopefully Will Reardon and Colton Haker. Now that tent that we see on course right now, that is going to be, I believe, a section that they're going to turn off at later. That is where they're going to wind up coming from on their 3rd lap. So right now they're finishing off their 1st lap. So everybody's telling them which direction to go, but that is going to be the spot that they are going to switch up when it comes to lap 2 and lap 3 later on.
Well, now Cody Webb has stepped his speed up a little bit. He's up to 23.7 miles per hour. Right behind him, Tristan Hart, 24. So Tristan trying to reel in on Cody.
Here's that awesome canyon again, watching another rider come up. You can tell that he's sitting down a little bit more every now and again than some of the other racers we've seen come through this section. But again, as we kind of come back into some of these racers, they're going to be our older A classes, right? Some of the A30, A40, A50, but then again, some of our B racers and our C racers. So they could be extremely tired at this point. We saw quite a few bottlenecks early on. So I would imagine that some of the racers we're going to see now coming through those earlier sections we had seen for the pro riders, they're going to be moving a little bit slower, and their body English is going to be a little less aggressive. So with that check ahead section that we're looking at here, that's probably Cooper Abbott coming into that check right now. So obviously he's pointing him downhill. That's probably not the way he wanted to go, but that's the way he's getting sent. That's the way the course is taking him. But that is now a chance for them to start heading back towards Chocolate Thunder. Oh, we got a helmet coming off. We got head on the handlebars. This is it right here. When the bench racing stories come out at Long John Silver later over some hush puppies, this young man is going to be talking about the fact that he did what he did at 2024 King of the Motos for sure.
He did as far as he could, as fast as he could, as long as he could. He can't do it anymore.
And right now it's time for a little bit of a nap. And that's all good, man. It's all good. He's got many more hours to go. It's okay.
Oh, look at that bottleneck. That's beautiful.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one for sure when we see our racers, our lead racers come back to this spot there on course. And speaking of not a lot of speed, these guys are actually booking down this canyon. I know it looks like they might be going kind of slow, but if you were to put the mere mortals of myself or you, Chris Johnson, out there, or Chris from Trailbound, or one of my buddies like Cody Russell, we would be going a lot slower down this little slot canyon. But there you go, Cody Webb, Tristan Hart, Ryder LeBlond, Will Reardon. So our mountain goat, Cody Webb, 5 times. Tristan Hart, many-time winner, right? And then our young guns that are coming out to try to take these 2 guys down. So, I mean, it's pretty cool to see what's going on right here. And we get a cool spectator spot. Check that out.
Great coverage, man. You know, last year was fantastic coverage. This year's even better than last.
Oh, absolutely.
Here comes Cody into the mix. He is our current reigning leader. Five-time champion. Nice line he took there, by the way.
Yeah, that looks like one of the bushes that we would have seen Will Reardon having hanging off of his bike earlier during the event. Now this is where it looks like lap 3 is going to come back in later on. So they're right around where that yellow line is going to come back in if you're looking at yellow brick. So we'll definitely see this a little bit later as these racers come back. But look how steep that is, and they have got to just carry that speed because that sand, even though we did get a little bit of traction, can get deep. And if you start to lose that momentum, that'll keep you from getting back up that nice little cresty hill. Yeah, look how easy it is for him to follow because of the fact that that brown dirt underneath the desert sand, right, as it gets chundered up a little bit, we've got that moisture down in there. It was so easy for him to follow. But look at these 4 guys just right there on top of each other. It'll be cool to see what happens after this lap. So there we can see Chocolate Thunder on the other side of the mountain that they are riding on. So they'll come down, cross that line at that Lukwamali arch, and then either choose to pit or choose to just slam on into lap 2. Well, that's good. His number's 2. We got about 2 of them. We'll take it.
There you go.
So there we go. Cody Webb does choose to come into pit. Now, granted, you'll see those tarps there. That's because of the fact that they've got all the gas and all the oils, potentially, that they're going to be either spilling or could come out of the motorcycle. So they've asked them to do that on a tarp, just in that way we can contain that a little bit more. So obviously they are choosing to get gas. Look at the riders. Look at that, man. Tristan Hart, Will Reardon doing their own work, putting that in there. You got to love it when you see that. Now, they can't be handed that stuff, but they, of course, have to do their own work to get that in. The lap looks like Cody Webb is already done and back on course. Now, when he came in lap 1 yesterday, he left early from Tristan Hart and the crew that was there trying to ride with him, and that was when he gained about a 60-second gap, and he kept that all the entire time through lap 2. So I would assume that that is a little bit of that same strategy, but there we go. Look at that. We got Ryder LeBlond right there with him. He said, no, sir, the mountain goat is not going to just leave me behind. I'm going to do my best to hang on to his rear wheel the entire time, trying to see if he can get that win. There we go. We got Tristan Hart back on course as well behind Ryder LeBlond.
Yeah, back to Cody Webb, 32 years young, old age and treachery. Ryder LeBlond, youth and enthusiasm.
Yeah, you got that right. That mustache that he's trying to grow in, trying to be a little Billy Bolt.
The sun's starting to come out. We still got chocolate soup on the ground from the moisture put on, raining from gods from yesterday. And I tell you what, it's starting to shed some clothes. It's beautiful out here right now. Hey, now talking about some off-road champions.
So we're seeing Cody Webb there back on lap 2. And so what's going to happen is there, if you're watching what is going on with the yellow brick, we do have some blue lines. And the blue lines are going to be what is going to be seen for lap 2. So that's going to be a little bit longer, and it's going to be a little bit harder.
Ryder LeBlond staying in the wind of Cody Webb right now. Fantastic ride by Ryder. But Tristan Hart right in the hunt as well in that 3rd spot. I'm curious to find out how far along, because we're getting glimpses of Colton Haker starting to get into this mix of those top 4.
Yeah, Colton Haker is now on his 2nd lap, so his number has turned red. So he is definitely moving and shaking his way to try to catch up to our top 4 guys that are out there of Cody Webb, Tristan Hart, Ryder LeBlond, and Will Reardon. Let's see here. It looks like, if we could zoom in just a little, it looks like it's going to be Haker, coming through, following the tracks, man. That's all good. Again, he's on lap 2. he's going to be like lap 3 is really where it's going to come down to it getting crazy. Cool shot looking at this rider coming down, working his way towards Chocolate Thunder to finish out that first lap. I like what we're seeing here there at the top of this kind of crevasse. We've got one rider kind of hanging out, helping out for a little bit. It looks like we might have a course marshal standing on course. His helmet's come off a couple times. But obviously when it gets technical like this, the bottlenecks get really serious. The pros come through there because they either are going to have to make sure they stay within that 50 feet. They might take an alternative line, but try to stay within 50 feet of what the navigation is showing. Or they may just try to pick their way through the racers that are on course, which again, it's going to be fun to watch. These guys are trying to finish up all 3 laps that they have going on here. That is set up. So again, they started at Chocolate Thunder at 9:15. It took the racers about an hour and a half to finish their first lap. It is going to be a little bit longer on their second lap, and they've added in more technical hard enduro sections. So the hope is that it would take them a little bit longer, so we shall see for sure if that works out. We're trying to stay in communication with our race director, Justin, to see if that is how it works out. Of course, he said if they do go faster than he expects, he's going to go back to the drawing board because he wants to make sure he keeps bringing the most technically challenging hard enduro for the racers that come out here to King of the Motos in Johnson Valley. Got number 25 there. Oh, just look at that, standing up, moving and shaking, putting that weight in the right places as he's just rock crawling his way through the terrain here in Johnson Valley. Oh, we got Tristan Hart coming into the bottleneck. I would assume that Cody Webb is right there in front of him. Got another rider. Oh, no, it looks like Tristan actually got in front of Webb. And now Webb and Hart are hitting that section, and they're saying, hey, guys, you need to get out of the way because we're coming through. Just look at this. These guys have been bottlenecked here for probably 30 to 45 minutes, and these racers just walk right past them on their respective manufactured motorcycles. So, of course, Tristan Hart on that KTM 300, while Cody Webb is on that Sherco 300. Looks like we've got Ryder LeBlanc now joining the mix, which means we should have Will Reardon coming up behind fairly quickly. And these guys are just making mincemeat of this obstacle. We have seen this bottleneck be here for so long, and they, of course, are just walking their bikes up this, essentially. Oh, James Flynn, that looks so smooth. Him working up his way through there for Chocolate Thunder, getting that leg out, kind of planting that, getting that nice gas splat there on the rock. That was nice looking. That looks like it might be number 9. If that's the case, that's our boy Danny Lewis on the Beta. These racers are just got themselves stuck up in a little canyon, and unfortunately they're moving 2, 3, 4, 5 feet at a time, just working their way up because this is where all the momentum gets sucks. Look at that. Unfortunately, he made it about 3 feet, and the bike falls over, right? Because when the bike takes off without having the weight of the body on it, the body's not going to go with it. And that is why you want to try to keep your feet on the foot pegs when you're trying to create momentum or try to find traction to create that momentum. I mean, I'm not going to lie. You know these guys are tired. It's not easy. We could talk about it forever from right here. But now it looks like we've got our leaders back again so we can see Cody Webb, Ryder LeBlanc, Tristan Hart there. So again, hopefully Will Reardon is starting to catch back up to these guys, but they are out there on their second lap. There's probably a couple more bottlenecks that they're going to have to work their way through. Oh, it's just so cool seeing these unfortunately lapped riders. Just look at this, man. This could be in the movie Jurassic Park, maybe Jurassic World, whichever one you want to go with, but it definitely seems cool to watch these guys ride up this awesome creek bed. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. Make sure you subscribe to the premium feed that is on the King of the Hammers official YouTube. We'll see you guys in just a minute. It looks like our outer limits trailhead. It looks like our leaders are just now passing that. So again, we've seen Cody Webb, we've seen Ryder LeBlanc and Tristan Hart there kind of swapping back and forth. Cody Webb, I would say, looks like has done the majority of the leading. Maybe, we shall see.
Look at this view across Johnson Valley and Means Dry Lake here off of Boone Road for the 2024 Progressive Insurance Liqui-Moly King of the Motos.
All right, so as we see right there, we've got our Liqui-Moly banner. So this is the Liqui-Moly 2024 King of the Motos, and we've got a cool little behind-the-scenes look at Danny Lewis, the Beta rider that is out there. Of course, sponsored and leveraging Liqui-Moly to keep his bike running out there on this hard enduro course. So let's check in with Danny Lewis and learn a little bit more about what is going on behind the scenes for that young man.
Danny Lewis. I'm from Pennsylvania. Love racing my dirt bike and happy I can say it's my job. We have GNCC and stuff like that back at home, and that's what I grew up doing, but I feel like there was always such a bigger picture with hard enduro. It's a challenge, it's not just a race. Growing up in the motorsports industry, you always see King of Hammers, and it's like, it's this huge thing. It's an honor to be here and be able to race it and go up to like stuff like Chocolate Thunder and just, you know, have fun doing it. My first year last year was like totally an eye-opener. It's just everything's so loose and like you can never take it for granted, the traction, because like 1 second you'll have traction and then the next you're like fighting the bike and just pushing it, and it's just a pain in the butt. So my whole career, all the races I do are based on pretty much, can you finish the race? For the amateurs, for the pros, for everybody. So coming to King of Motos and just finishing is super, super good for me, just confidence-wise, and knowing that you can do it. Because I remember when I was like 14, 15 years old, I'm like, man, I'm never gonna finish a race like this, getting like halfway through. And now it's like, who's gonna make it to the finish first, instead of just hoping I get to the finish. I just want to kind of prove to myself that I can come out here and be competitive in the desert. Being able to stick with those guys and keep my head on my shoulders is just, that's all I'm really looking for this weekend.
What a beautiful day it's turned out to be, Brian. Now check this out.
Ooh, we're getting
Right
a little
now,
bit of sand surfing going on there too.
in the middle of a bunch of our slower riders is our two leaders, Ryder LeBlanc.
They're not slower. They're just on lap 1. And then we see another racer going up the top parts there at Chocolate Thunder. When there's not a bunch of riders in the way, it actually makes it much smoother. But man, when there's bottleneck is there at the start, it is quite difficult to keep the momentum going. Our leaders out there, so Cody Webb, Ryder LeBlanc, Tristan Hart, are getting quite close to the cutoff that they are going to have. So they are going to have a cutoff that is going to put them out onto a little bit of a different portion of the course for lap number 2, and that is going to happen at checkpoint number 3. That's where we saw them take that hard right off of the course. Yeah, that was definitely our lead pack up there. So hopefully Will Reardon can continue to pull those guys in, reel them in so they can start to ride with them again. And I'm sure that that is exactly what Ryder LeBlanc was trying to do. That is such a cool shot there where those guys can ride super high on that wall ride.
They're lining themselves all over the canyon here, so the lane choice is getting very, very limited when they do that.
It looks like on screen we've got 3 riders working up a canyon that does definitely look a little bit different, or one that we haven't seen in a while. I would assume that that is our Tristan Hart, our Ryder LeBlanc, and our Cody Webb, but obviously we're a little far out to know for sure. It did look like orange gear maybe in the front, and that is what Tristan Hart had on earlier with that TLD gear.
It appears from our Yellowbrook that Ryder LeBlanc has now taken over the lead, so we'll get that verified here shortly. But I tell you what, if that's the case, our rider, 3rd place from last year, possibly could be leading here off of our Yellowbrook. Ryder LeBlanc from Pennsylvania on the factory Rockstar Energy Husqvarna.
And we have got our lead group of Cody Webb, Tristan Hart, and Ryder LeBlanc back on course with what was the finish of lap 2. So they have now finished the additional technical section and miles that were added, and they are now getting ready to drop back into what will be Chocolate Thunder. So it does look like Cody Webb, Ryder LeBlanc, Tristan Hart all there together, and I think that's probably going to be Max Gersten there, our media specialist on that gas with the vest that is on. Max Gersten, long-time hard enduro and enduro cross racer, and he's been helping out the U.S. Hard Enduro Series for about 2 to 3 years now, since it kind of like has grown and changed hands and moved and gotten a little bit bigger. So it's cool to see him kind of taking that and bringing it to that media specialist kind of position for him. Yeah, look at that. Taking that little bit wider line, see if he can get himself a nice big shot.
Wow, Brian, I wonder what's going through Ryder LeBlanc's mind right now as he's dicing it up and staying in the wind of Cody Webb. Is he trying to learn as much as he can from Cody, or is he just trying to set him up for a possible pass on this last loop? Your guess is as good as mine. But I tell you what, Cody Webb is on his game, the best he's ridden in a long, long time. And obviously, here he is going up to the top. Look at those long legs working it.
But no pit.
No
He
pit.
chose to not pit. He pit after lap 1, did not pit after lap 2. So what's the strategy for Ryder LeBlanc and Tristan Hart? Did they pit? Are they changing tires? Because, again, if they stopped and Cody Webb didn't, this is his chance to try to come out and make up a huge gap on those guys. So it'll be interesting to see not just how long it takes for them to do that, but how much time they lost. So Tristan Hart, again, already back out, so probably less than 60 seconds. Looks like we just saw Ryder LeBlanc right behind him. So looks like Cody Webb probably going to get about 60 seconds, maybe just a little bit less on them. They're just making their way up. Chocolate Thunder, so simple. Oh, and I say that.
Cody Webb stretching out his lead a little bit further, sandwiching Ryder LeBlanc between him and Tristan Hart. And then Will Reardon taking up the rear just now, coming back onto the main course there off of Chocolate Thunder. So
Cody Webb looks like he's not too far from the finish.
no, he's just coming down. Only a
Here's
couple
our
of miles to go for the.
Our second place rider right now, Tristan Hart, on the screen making his way over that hump.
Tristan going about 8.9 miles per hour, and right now Cody doing 5.9.
And here is Cody Webb out there in that lead.
Look at that fine chocolate syrup. Oh, it is.
And I believe that is Media that's chasing behind
Nice
him. That's
wheelie.
the
Look at that.
greatest. Look at that. He's
that-
definitely coming around to the finish if he's
that's-
having some fun.
That's Max with him right now. Ryder LeBlanc on the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna.
So it looks like, let's look at this tracker. Look, we have Cody Webb getting almost to that finish line. And there we see him coming down. I'm not sure exactly what the last obstacle is that they will be coming down. But we know he's close, out in the lead. He knows he's out in the lead, putting that fist pump up in the air.
And he's got Max Gersten. Everybody cheering for him right now. Max following closely. Coming down into Chocolate Thunder. Is a checkered flag flying? Our new 2024 Liqui King of the Motos champion, 6-time champion, Cody Webb. Give him a round of applause, everybody. This gentleman put on quite the show today.
We are here with our 2024 King of the Motos champion, Cody Webb. Cody Webb, tell us how it went out there for you, man.
Man, it was amazing. It was probably one of the best King of Motos we ever had. The conditions were awesome. The rain last night. The dirt was the best it's ever been. I think it allowed the battles to be a lot closer. We were out of the dust. So, really good, fun race out there with those guys. The young kids are stepping it up. I'm still hanging in there, and I guess I hung in just good enough to get the win again.
Mr. Tristan Hart, how did it go for you out there today on your KTM 300?
Pretty good day. It was an epic battle. There's nothing we couldn't get through easily, and today there was stuff we had to get off, push our bikes. Cody was even flipping his bike, which he normally never does, so that just goes to show how hard it was. And I think we all want it pretty hard. We want a challenge, and then when you finish, you can keep your head up high knowing you finished a pretty challenging course, and we did that today.
A lot of respect to them. They've been stroking me for the last 2 years by, sometimes 40 minutes at some races. So to be only a minute behind Cody and 30 seconds behind Tristan, I take that as a positive for the start of the season for sure. And definitely, I feel like that will be good for confidence when I go home and start training again.
Well, the course is closed. Here are our top 10 finishers. You called it. You were the one. I know I was a little hesitant in the what I was going to say about Cody Webb, but, man, he came and he did exactly what you said he was going to do. What do you think about that?
Well, I knew it wasn't going to be easy. Tristan Hart is, even though he took a couple of months off this year and coming back on, he was a serious threat. But what about Ryder LeBlanc coming in third place like he did last year? But I tell you what, the class and the level of riders that have come onto play, a lot higher than it was last year.
Yes, indeed.
And big thanks also to all the fine staff, hard workers that put on this great event, King of the Motos. Every single year just gets better and better.
You got that right. All right, we'll see you guys soon.